So for my Digital Electronics 2 subject, this is experiment 4. It's entitled 8-bit interrupt on change. So for the objectives, first is to understand how interrupt on change, how IoC works, and to apply IoC for controlling the LEDs. So equipment and components. PIC 16F1 8875, 220 ohm resistor, LED, breadboard, connecting wires, pick it 3 or 4, and power supply. So for the procedures, the first part is delay polling. So to do that, click on start and search MPLab. Click on the application, wait for the application to load, and then once the application opens, click on file, new project, microchip embedded, and standalone project. Click next. After that, type in the IC that we're going to use. That's PIC 16F1 8875. Click on that, click next, and the compiler XC8, and name your project. In my case, I'll name this one experiment 4, part 1. Next, and then after that, we will click the MCC logo here for the config file. The configuration file should be saved. Just click on save, and then once that is finished, we will head on to the system module. Here we'll change the package to this one, so the chip will change similar to our IC there. Next, we have to make sure that port for A4 and port B4 is open. One is for output and the other one is for input, and this one should be unchecked. Let's change the custom name. Let's change it to LED underscore P6, and this one to switch P6 for pin 6. This one should be enabled, and this one here should be negative. After that, we click on generate. Once generation is complete, we will go to the project file here and click on source files, the MCC file, main C file rather, and enable global interrupt and peripheral interrupt. These two should be enabled for the code to work. And here, you should not put any code here, because what we're going to do is go to MCC generated files. Here on interrupt manager, we're going to look for this code. This is already the code that we're going to use. We're just going to input here from our pin manager the code for the LED. So there, we will add our code LED underscore pin 6, our output, and toggle that. After that, once we're done, we need to click build. Wait for the build, and here, build successful. After build is successful, what we need to do is go on to microchip.
To transfer the code to the IC, what we'll need is picket 3 and these accessories. So what you need to do is connect the black wire, this black wire here, to the arrow, and the black one here to the ICD2 here at the controller, like that. And then connect this to your computer, and now using the application MPLab XIPE, we're ready to transfer the code to the IC. Here's the IC. This is how you should put it. The U should be here on top, and then we lock.
Once the kit is connected to the computer, we should open the MPLAB XIPE app. Wait for the application to load. This might take a while, but once this application loads up, we have to edit the power settings before any transferring. This is important. So what we'll do is click on settings and click and type the password. And here what we need to do is to browse for the hex file. So to do that, find the project name that we put earlier. It's experiment 4, and there we'll see the hex file. After that, make sure the power settings is set to, this one should be checked, and this one should be 3.125. That's what I was talking about earlier. And then click on connect. An error message should appear here, and you should just click on OK. And then next, another OK. Target device, just don't mind that, just click on program. And then you'll see here, programming complete.
So this is the circuit for the first part of the experiment for 8-bit interrupt on change. So as you can see here, the green wires, this is the VDD and this is the other VDD. They are both connected to the positive terminal. The VSS, the yellow wires connected to the negative terminal. This blue wire, this is RA4 or LED underscore P6. It is at the 6th pin and it is connected to the LED, the positive terminal, and the negative to the resistor, and this to the ground. And this one, port 37 RB4, is the switch, so it is connected here, and this one to the switch, and the other side to the negative. So connecting the positive and the negative for the power supply. Let's now test our circuit. Let me turn on the power supply. Turning on the power supply, if I change this to 0, you can see that's the output, and if I interrupt it, you can see that it changes. One more.
So next, what we're going to do is the second part of the experiment when we're asked to add more LEDs to try the interrupt on change. So in order to do that, go here to pin manager and select the LEDs that you want to have outputs on. So in my case, this LEDs pin rather. So here I'm just going to edit the names, so later it's easier to program the code. Next, after that, make sure to untick all analog for the output and make sure that for the switch this is still negative. Also, recheck if this is enabled and click generate. Once generation is complete, this merge should appear. So what we're going to do here is just merge the code for the ones that we need to merge. This one, this is enabled. Let's check again. This one should have no code. This one enabled too, just like for the first part. And this is where we'll put the code in pin underscore manager LED P2 toggle. Let me just copy those. This is for all the LEDs. Okay, I think we're good to go to build. Just wait for it to build. And it was successful. Now let's transfer the IC to the ICD2.
So for the second part, we're going to try it on multiple LEDs. As you can see here, I've already set up the LEDs. What I'm going to do is transfer the new hex file here. So to do that, put this here and go to the MPLAB XIPE app.
Here at the MPLAB XIPE app, make sure power settings is set properly and click program. Programming complete.
Once programming is complete, we can now transfer this to the circuit. Make sure that this one is here at the front. So as I turn on the power supply, let's see. Here is the switch. Okay, it worked. Let's see if we interrupt the code. Off.
For the conclusion, from the results of the experiment, it can be concluded that it is possible to control the results of an LED using the feature of MPLAB interrupt on change. Using the code program, it was observed that the change in the switch toggles the state of the LED. The states are from on to off, logic 1 to 0, and vice versa. Then, when the switch was pressed, the program in the IC made the state from high to low or low to high, which is the interrupt itself. Recommendation: before doing the experiment, it is essential to first have knowledge of the applications and circuitry used. Possible errors encountered in the experiment are in the coding of the program and wiring of the circuit.